Hey everyone, Raphael here with the rookie street stock at USA. We're using a 12-to-1 ratio plus 4 on the offset, 56% of the brake bias. Track state 100%. Time of day, it is basically dusk in the winter time. Sun is going down, a little bit of daylight still left, but essentially it's clear 78 and track temperature also 78. So we're going to treat it basically as a night track because the track temperature is as low as it can basically get. And track's going to have a good amount of grip. Lap 2, our fastest lap at a 22.92, and then over 20 laps, we only fell off about 3/10 of a second. Again, because of the low track temperature, the tires are just not going to slide a whole lot. So, with that being said, let's take a look at these first couple laps and what to expect as the sun goes down at USA International Speedway with this rookie street stock. Alright, so here we take off pit road, and we're going to merge off of turn 2, so just be careful here, don't clip that grass once you get past this blue line. So we're going to use basically lap 1 to see how much grip there is on the racetrack. You can see the sun is going down, so I am expecting quite a bit of grip. So I'm going to be quite aggressive entering turn 1. Again, lap 2 is going to be our lap of record, but lap 1 is just kind of where I test the grip. So going to drive in there really deep, see how much grip we have. Immediately I'm noticing, okay, the front end's not gripping all that well, but then I'm getting back on the gas really aggressively. Rear end's hooking up fairly well. The car's turning fine, so we're going to enter turn 3 and 4 here on the high line just to get a good run off of turn 4. Kind of extend the straightaway as best as possible. Get as good of a run to start our lap as possible. And as far as where to brake, basically just after this green light right here, you're going to turn into the corner before that. And then as soon as you get to that green light, that's where you hit the brakes. Again, around 10 to 15% brake, not a whole lot. You're going to essentially aim your left sides right for the yellow line. If you can kind of just clip this yellow line a little bit. It's got a little bit of an extra grip there on the paint. And then I'm kind of letting it coast for a little bit. And then when I get back on the gas, it's very aggressively back on the throttle, right around to 80% throttle, and then back wide open. Again, drive it all the way up to the wall. And then here for turn 3, again, right past this green light, driving it a little bit deeper than that. And again, aiming it right for the bottom of the racetrack, around 10 to 15% brake again. Aiming your left sides right again for this yellow line. And then right back aggressively on the throttle. And this completes right there your hot lap of 22.924. Now back here in the data pack, we go to video and telemetry. And then top right on the laps, we'll take it to the end of the run. Again, only about 3/10 to fall off by this point. So the car's going to handle very consistently the whole run. That's usually what happens when you have a colder track. Pretty much at this point in the run, though, the rear end is getting a little bit loose. You're getting a little bit of kind of over rotation. But again, it's not too bad. It's very, very slight. The track has a lot of grip, so it's very, very easy to catch. You just have to, when you notice that rear end kind of sliding a little bit too much, get a little bit of counter steer, and then just be very easy getting back on the gas. Don't just hammer the throttle. Um, you can kind of get away with that earlier in the run, but once the tires do start getting a little bit of wear in them, and the rear end kind of starts coming around a little bit, um, it takes very, 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 very precise, um, inputs because you really want to keep up your speed. I mean, you're still going very, very fast, comparatively, versus like if it was in the middle of the day and you're just kind of sliding all over the place. This is still a high grip situation even on lap 20, so you kind of want to kind of minimize that sliding as best as possible while still keeping up all that raw speed in the center of the corner. Now, without a doubt, the bottom lane is the place to be here, but of course both lanes are going to be quite a bit slower. So you can see right there how loose I got just because I kind of I cut that corner off, obviously entering turn 1. So just something to watch out for. That rear end really comes around, especially when you're on the bottom lane. Very, very easy to cause a crash. You can see right there again, I'm chasing the bottom, I'm chasing the rear end. Um, but just know that you have the advantage down there. So even though it is loose, practice just running that line down there. Whether it's in practice next to some other cars or even just by yourself. Practice going down in there, simulating the bottom lane just so that when it does happen in the race, you're not caught off guard. But even with that being said, though, this ended up being 2/10 faster than the next clip. And the driver here on the high line, aka the second groove, just up here, there's just less grip. I mean, you can see it's over rotating up here as well. But of course, there's less risk up here because if you just kind of lose it up the racetrack, you don't have anybody to hit. When you're on the bottom lane, you have the responsibility of not running into the driver on the high side. But when you're up here, you're just kind of in no man's land, and this setup is just really aggressive on that right rear tire. So the best thing you can do is just kind of try to get as good of a run off the corner as you can to see if you can get back in line. Now here, in our driving stats, we're gonna hit see video, and then top right on the laps, we're gonna compare the fastest lap. We're gonna compare it to lap 20, just to see the difference in the inputs, and you can see there's really not a whole lot of a difference. I mean, I would say actually a little bit more aggressive on brakes, and that's because later in the run, the car is quite a bit on the loose side, so I'm just being more careful on all my inputs, including the brakes. If you get on the brakes too aggressively and the car's already loose, it can kind of, unstabilize the car. So just being a little bit more easy on those brakes. But as far as the throttle trace goes, it's very, very um, very similar on both laps. And then here when I move the slider for the center of the cornering speed, you can see right there. I mean, we're talking maybe just on the entry, I'm going 2 mile an hour quicker on the hot lap. And then here in 3 and 4, you can see again on that entry about 2 mile per hour quicker on the hot lap, but even in the center of the corner, I mean, we're talking maybe a mile an hour, maybe two at most right there on the exit. So it's going to be drive very similar from lap 1 to lap 20 to the end of the run. Um, the biggest thing to watch out for again is over rotation. The car does tend to get a little bit loose. Just practice dealing with that. Don't overreact to it. It's gonna grip up quite well, but just kind of learn how to handle. It's a good week to practice that car control. Not as much car control as you're gonna need where it's in the middle of the day, but it's a good week to practice kind of keeping up with the speed of the racetrack. The racetrack is going to be very fast and the car is going to be a little bit loose. And if you can kind of just find that limit of how fast to go while still keeping up, keeping the tires on it, you'll have a good week. Quick reminder that we offer one-on-one coaching here on VRS. Here is a list of the coaches, and when you select one of the coaches, here